I just today rewatched Batman from 1989. Growing up, I love that movie. It is probably top 5 comic book movies of all time, probably top 2, right underneath Christopher Reeve's Superman. And this is the movie that put Batman on the map, brought Batman into the popular culture. Watching it again today, I had to watch it with an objective eye. To be honest with you, it's still good, but it's not as great as people remember, or as I remember. And it does have its flaws. I'm going to get into it. So, Tim Burton's 1989 Batman film came along at a time when really the only Batman we ever saw was the Batman from the 60s with Adam West. It was campy, it was cool, it was televised, episodic, but it wasn't the DC Comics Batman, let's be honest. So Tim Burton had a vision for bringing this to life. Now, before Batman, Tim Burton had only directed 2 years before Beetlejuice, which also starred Michael Keaton. This is their second pairing up. It's the second time they paired up for a movie. And before that, he was very involved with Alfred Hitchcock Presents. Essentially, Beetlejuice was the movie where he cut his teeth. Batman put him on the map. And what a map to be put on. It was also written by both Sam Hamm and Warren Scarron. Sam Hamm is credited with the creation of Jack Napier. I'll get into that in a few. Warren Scarron was credited with the screenplay itself, the adaptation of Sam Hamm's overall story. He has credits outside of Batman. He wrote Top Gun, Beetlejuice, Beverly Hills Cop 2. So he did have a pedigree before this, so it was very smart of Tim Burton to bring him on. The movie itself stars Michael Keaton, who before this was in Beetlejuice, and before that he'd mainly been known for comedies and rom-coms. So casting Michael Keaton at this time as Batman Bruce Wayne was very much akin to the same outrage that people had with casting Ben Affleck as an older Batman. People were saying pretty much the same things. Oh, he couldn't do it, doesn't have the chops, he's just a comic actor, he's just this, he's just that. And then boy, did Keaton prove them wrong. The movie also stars Jack Nicholson as the Joker, or as he's called in this, Jack Napier. Jack Nicholson himself is awesome in this role. Before this, he had done Witches of Eastwick, which was a smaller film that later became a cult classic. The only other one that he did before that was Terms of Endearment in '83. Jack Nicholson very much shows out here. He plays his gangster self. He pretty much makes Joker a funny gangster, over-eccentric gangster, but a gangster nonetheless. Very much complimentary of Keaton's Batman. Michael Gough, who plays Alfred Pennyworth, although he's not credited as Pennyworth in this film, he's just named Alfred, but we know the character's name is Alfred Pennyworth. Of all the actors on this list, he has the most clout at this point as of 1989. He is an established British actor, mostly in theater, but a lot of TV and some film. Michael Gough does a fantastic job of making you like him, but more importantly, making you sympathize and empathize with Bruce Wayne and Batman. Michael Gough is definitely that grounding figure Alfred Pennyworth should be. Then we got Kim Basinger as Vicky Vale. Interesting thing, Vicky Vale was not the first choice for this role. It was actually Sean Young, and she got injured and had to back out, and then Michelle Pfeiffer, but she turned it down to a scheduling conflict, and then Kim Basinger ultimately won the role. But Kim Basinger, her biggest hit, her biggest film before this was 9.5 Weeks in 1986. We got Pat Hingle as Commissioner Gordon. He's that guy. He's that character actor that you see in movies and you go, oh, I know him, he was in this other thing. And I think he did a fine job as Commissioner Gordon with what he was given. Then we've got Billy D. Williams as Harvey Dent. Now, I didn't think about this at the time when I was watching it, many times, growing up, but now looking at it, right, casting Billy D. Williams as Harvey Dent, it would have been an outrage today, especially amongst the hardcore fans. And what I mean by that is you see it more prevalent now in today's world, where you take a character that's been traditionally white or traditionally black and you flip it, and not a big deal was made of it. I mean, Billy D. Williams did a great job as Harvey Dent with what he was given. I don't think it was that big of a role. Essentially, he was only in a couple of scenes, but he did a great job. Before this, he's done some small films, some smaller part films, and the biggest thing he was in up until this point was Return of the Jedi in '83. The last big thing. But Harvey Dent, Billy D. Williams, I thought it was a good casting choice. And then you got Robert Wuhl. Robert Wuhl is probably one of the actors that had a really big resurgence in the 90s with Arliss. He was very big for that show. But He played Alexander Knox. He was in Bull Durham before this in 88 and Good Morning Vietnam in 87. So he was probably one of the bigger names technically when he was cast in this role, because he'd worked alongside, Kevin Costner and Robin Williams and the big actors in those movies. So he probably had as much clout as probably Michael Goff in this. I am ranking this movie on 4 categories: story, music, visuals, canon, acting. 5. I think the story is very engaging. It's very intriguing from the jump. The parallels with the opening scene of the parents with their kids running through Gotham streets, with the introduction to Batman. It's a mirror image of what happens with Batman and Bruce and his family, except the family saved this time and Bruce's wasn't. I think it moves along very much at a good pace. There's certain things that I wanted to have expanded upon, but overall, I think it does its job in telling the story that they want to tell. I think the pros are that it's engaging, fun. It's definitely rewatchable, because watching it again, I picked up on some things, whether it was said, whether it was something in the scene or the background. You pick up on this stuff, so it's definitely rewatchable, and you get a different take every time you watch. And again, this is a story that put Batman on the map. Everybody loved it. People going to see this movie 5, 6, 7 times in '89 and still watching it to this day on DVD says something about how good the story is. Now, the cons. I think Joker's backstory should have never been done. You should have never, ever told how Joker became Joker. That's always been the mysticism behind the character. So he was just this agent of chaos that no one knew where he came from. For '89, it was a good way to tell a general story, but I think it hurts the intelligence of the audience. I think people would have latched on to the Joker from the comic, but overall, I think Jack Nicholson did a great job with what he was given, and he was the stick by which every Joker was measured from there on out. Jack Palance, very much a con in this movie. Jack Palance is a great actor. I love that man. If you ever watch City Slickers 2, that man is hilarious. Some of his old stuff, but Jack Palance in this film is very much a con and a detriment. He's just, when he's on screen, he very much is wooden, very much, he oversells, makes it cartoonish, and I just don't believe that he believes he's this person. There was some weak points in the dialogue where something could have been said. It wasted words, wasted chances for words in telling the story. But overall, I think they did a great job with, telling these stories with the dialogue. But the con is the weak points in some of the dialogue that wasn't there as well. Killing off Joker was also a con. I think Tim Burton really screwed up here. I think that point at the top where Batman connects Joker to the gargoyle, that instead of having the gargoyle break and pull him down, I think it should have just pulled him off of the ladder and had him hanging by the gargoyle. We should have seen Joker going into Arkham Asylum, and that's how you can debut Arkham Asylum in the game or in the movie too. The lore is there, but it's very limited. It's very limited to this movie. It's very limited to the story they're telling. They don't really have any of the lore that we know of Batman. At the end of the day, they were trying to tell a contained story because they didn't know if they were going to get a sequel. So, Knox. Now, I love Robert Wool, but his character is annoying, and the way he plays him, I'm sure is how it was done on the script. So I'm thinking that this is more of character development script point of view problem than it is actually Robert's acting. Robert did a fantastic job, but what he was given was just an annoying character. It was a cookie cutter journalist that anybody could have played. And I think if you'd give him just a little bit more meat on the bones, let him, become a little bit more human instead of, something that was, out of a cliche meme or cliche one-off comic, I think it would have hit a little bit better. It wasn't all the time. Just there was certain part where he's trying to interview Gordon at the party. That was very annoying to me. So overall, I think the story is an 8 out of 10. Next category is music. Danny Elfman. That's all that needs to be said. He crafted a masterful story through music in this movie. I mean, without the music, I don't think the movie would feel the same. Intro music that gets you revved up, pumped up, let's go. The Prince stuff, Oh, that was amazing for the time. Like having a big name Prince doing music for a big movie. I mean, you got Prince's Party Man. God, so addicting to listen to. The Prince song towards the end when they're on the float. Overall, Danny Elfman and Prince, amazing team up, masterful storytelling through music. 10 out of 10, not a question. Visuals is next. The visuals were great for the time. Before this, we'd only ever seen the campy TV Adam West show. It was cartoony, it was campy, it was light. This took it to a dark, gritty Gotham. Granted, it should have. Even today, it's still a fantastic watch. But watching it today in 4K, you could definitely tell it has aged. Some of the blue screen stuff, you could tell where the blue screen is, especially if you're someone like myself and you're paying attention to that stuff. Some of the Gotham design doesn't really mesh well with the ground stuff, where you could definitely tell it's sets and not a breathing, living city. I think the wide shots of the city are freaking gorgeous. The shots, with the Batmobile and, the chemical plant, all of that was beautifully done and dark and gritty. But overall, I think the visuals are an 8 out of 10. Canon. Now, I put this in here because I wanted to go over a few points that I might not have hit up top on the story. What it uses from the comics is fantastic. Batman, Joker, Gotham City. It does all of them justice. For the most part, once he's Joker and not Jack Napier, fantastic. But it tries to tell too much of an action film with Batman instead of telling a Batman film, which is very much an 80s thing to do. You could tell it was very much a victim of being an 80s film. Canon-wise, it's a 5 out of 10. Acting. We already touched a little bit briefly on, but I'm going to go in a little more detail here. Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson, Billy D. Williams, and Goff, who played Alfred, were all fantastic. Made you care about these characters, made you intrigued, kept you watching, kept you on the edge of your seat. Fantastic. Well done. Everyone else, on the other hand, I mean, there's a few exceptions. Like I said, Commissioner Gordon was good, but they didn't give him much. Like I said, Jack Palance was not that great in this film, in my humble opinion. And all the other characters that we got to talk to and see, I didn't care. And a lot of them were, either phoning it in or making it like it's, a 60s cartoon, or making it like it's the Batman show. It's like they were brief. Just go watch Adam West Batman and you'll get the idea of what we're doing. That's what it felt like. So the new direction didn't match what some of the actors chose to do. And then Kim Basinger, she was an okay choice, but because she was like third or fourth choice, you could tell. I don't think she was the best option for this character. That, and I don't think the character was written to be a meaty role for anyone. Essentially, she was just there to be the female damsel in distress, essentially, and the love interest of Batman, or Bruce Wayne. I thought she was okay, but wasn't great, and it wasn't her, it was the material, essentially. So overall, the acting is a 6 out of 10. Batman overall, 1989, is a 7 out of 10 for me. Oh no, I can hear it now. Are you kidding me? It's a masterpiece. For 1989, it's a masterpiece, but we're living in 2023. And this is a retro review. Batman 1989 was a great film in 1989. Great storytelling. One could argue it was masterful. It put Batman on the map. It brought Batman to a larger, wider audience. But in 2023, if this exact movie debuted today, I think it would be a mid to lower tier superhero movie. Because there's been so many great ones afterwards. I know that's controversial to say, but overall, I think Batman 1989 is a 7 out of 10. It definitely belongs in anyone's top 10 action films of all time. I'll go as far as say I think it belongs in top 5 superhero movies of all time, just because of Keaton and Nicholson. Without those two, I don't think this movie even gets $1 in the box office today. That's my thoughts on Batman 1989. What do you think? Come at me in the comments, but be respectful. We'll have a conversation. Until next time, y'all, happy viewing and have a good one.